Listen to this, man. He got some good news for you. Hey, everybody, gather near. The doctor's in the house, so lend him your ear. The things he can say might even make your day. He might even help your pain go away. The doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the doctor is in the house. Recording episode number 647 today. The title of which is The Silent Inflammation, which is the disease before you get a disease. I want to welcome everyone to Dr. Ron Unfiltered, Uncensored podcast. We are really doing great thanks to you. Our Substack page is also really doing well. If you haven't signed up there, it's free. It's docronradio.substack.com and sign up and you'll see what I'm writing about. And we're starting to post our podcast there also. So thank you. And it is with an attitude of gratitude that I bring you today's podcast. So by the time a disease has a name, the fire has often been burning for years. And those of you that have been following me for years know that I recently have been investigating this phenomenon, the science of this. You just all of a sudden don't get a heart attack. You don't get cancer. It takes years. And you know, right here on this program, we do not filter the truth. We amplify it. And I want to talk about this because it's something that almost nobody feels, almost nobody tests for correctly. And yet, in my opinion, it sits at the root of nearly every chronic disease we fear. Like what? Well, heart disease, diabetes, dementia, and cancer. And what is hidden? That hidden driver is silent inflammation. Here's the key idea I want you to remember from today. By the time a disease has a name, the fire has been burning for years. In medicine, we are tremendous and very good at giving diseases a name. In fact, somewhere in the AMA, they own the codes for over 30,000 different diseases. So we're good at naming them. But we are terrible at detecting the biological conditions that lead to them. And inflammation is one of them. It is the disease before the disease. So what inflammation really is? Inflammation is not bad. In fact, inflammation is how the body heals. If you cut your finger, it becomes red, warm, swollen. That is inflammation doing its job. Your immune system is sending the tools necessary to repair. That's acute inflammation, and it's healthy. But what we're discussing today is something entirely and very different. Chronic, low-grade inflammation. This is inflammation that never turns off, spreads throughout your body, and slowly causes damage to your tissues. And the scary part is you don't feel it. You don't see it, but it is quietly disrupting your biology. Think of it like a slow electrical short circuit running through your body. So research over the last 20 or so years has made something very, very clear. Chronic inflammation is involved in heart disease. Inflammation destabilizes plaque and damages blood vessels. Type 2 diabetes. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling. You may know it as insulin resistance. Dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Inflammation disrupts neurons and the blood-brain barrier. Cancer. Inflammatory chemicals stimulate abnormal cell growth. In other words, inflammation is the fertile soil in which these diseases grow. You don't suddenly wake up some morning with diabetes. You don't suddenly develop Alzheimer's. These conditions develop over decades and long before you have any symptoms. But you know what's already been there? Inflammation. The standard blood tests often miss it. And this is where some modern physicians fall short. Most annual physicals, boy, that was hard for me to say. Most annual physicals test for things like cholesterol, blood sugar, liver enzymes. And they're great tests, they're useful, but they are downstream. They are late stage markers. They tell us when damage has already begun. It's already there. But low-grade inflammation, ladies and gentlemen, is much more subtle. It does not always show up on routine labs. Many patients are told, well, your labs are normal. Yet, biologically speaking, the inflammatory fire is already burning. So, early markers, what do we know about that? So there are some markers that can reveal silent inflammation earlier. One of them is high sensitivity C-reactive protein, not the regular C-reactive protein, but the high sensitivity HSC reactive protein. It's a protein produced by your liver when inflammatory signals are present. Optimal levels are below 1.0. But I can tell you that there's a lot of people walking around with 2, 3, or even 4 without realizing this means their immune system is chronically activated. This is before you get a named disease. Another important marker is fasting insulin. High insulin levels also reflect metabolic inflammation at the cellular molecular level. And that happens before the glucose starts to rise, before you get diagnosed with diabetes. Your insulin has been climbing. Functional medical physicians also look at ferritin, homocysteine, uric acid, triglyceride to HDL ratio. If you've read my recent Substack on high fructose corn syrup, you'll see how important that uric acid is. Each of these can provide clues that metabolism is under inflammatory stress. So here's the idea. Disease really appears overnight. Biology whispers long before it screams. Think of that. Your body is giving you signs long before you get real sick. So what's causing this? Well, there's certain and several major drivers. One is ultra-processed food. They don't have this in Europe. Industrial food products often contain refined sugars, oxidized seed oils, the adulterated seed oils that has been brought to our attention by Professor Brian Peskin, chemical additives. And you know we have thousands more chemicals in our environment than the Europeans do. These substances can disrupt metabolism, and they can disrupt how the immune system is talking to the body. Ultra-processed foods. I've done many podcasts on this already, and I'm going to keep doing podcasts and mentioning oxidized, adulterated, processed seed oils because they start acting at the cellular level, especially omega-6 linoleic acid. And beside ultra-processed foods, we have a sedentary lifestyle. And our body evolved to move constantly. When our muscles remain inactive, inflammatory pathways increase. And that's one reason exercise acts like anti-inflammatory medicine. And I'm not talking about running marathons. I'm talking about walking and having common sense. Sleep disruption. You will see this listed as a cause of most diseases in the coming years. Poor sleep increases inflammatory hormones. Even a few nights of inadequate sleep can raise inflammatory markers. How good or how bad is that? If you're not sleeping, you know you're going to get a named disease, even though you may feel good right now. You may be passing off that little bit of brain fog and a little bit of achiness, but it's going to happen. And chronic stress. Well, we live in that kind of world right now, and stress hormones can shift the immune system toward an inflammatory state. The body does not distinguish well between psychological stress and physical threat, like the fight or flight response. So we're living more in a sympathetic world rather than a parasympathetic world. So our bodies are in inflammatory states, and they do not have time to heal. And God bless us for environmental toxins, heavy metals, air pollution. And most people don't realize how much microplastic is in their environment, from the cups at Starbucks and the plastic cups and the styrofoam cups and electromagnetic stress. It is around us all the time. Different than secondhand smoke. Secondhand smoke, at least you knew when you were around it. Electromagnetic stress is the new secondhand smoke, but it's 24/7. And all of these may contribute to cellular inflammation and mitochondrial dysfunction. And when the mitochondria are distressed, inflammatory responses often rise. And this mitochondrial connection, this area is one that really fascinates me. I guess I've been listening to Professor Peskin too much. Inflammation and mitochondrial health are tightly linked. The mitochondria produce energy for every cell in the body. But when mitochondria become damaged, they release distress signals. And what do those signals do? Those signals activate the immune system. And what does that mean? It means mitochondrial dysfunction can actually, on its own, trigger inflammation. And that inflammation then damages the mitochondria even further. And you have a vicious biological cycle. Well, it's modifiable. There's things you can do, and oftentimes it's reversible. Eat real food, ladies and gentlemen. Focus on whole vegetables, healthy fats, clean proteins. Reduce or try to eliminate as much as possible ultra-processed foods. Look for that high fructose corn syrup. Look for that oxidized seed oils. If those seed oils have been cooked, they are processed. They are not good. And the exercise that most everybody is recommending today is build muscle. Muscle is metabolically protective. Strength training improves insulin sensitivity and reduces inflammatory markers. Like Dr. Wang would say, as we get older, we're more apt to be able to open a peanut butter jar, which I don't recommend. I mean, a jar in general, or open the car door rather than run a marathon. So muscle training is really important and protective. And protect your sleep. Aim for consistent sleep cycles, dark rooms, minimal blue light at night. If you're watching television or your screen, blue light blocking lenses are critical. Sleep is when your brain and body repair inflammatory damage. My long-term listeners know I've talked about the lymphatic system in the brain. That's the system in the brain that clears out all the toxins at night. Your brain actually decreases inside because it squeezes out the toxins. Brings me to a rabbit trail. That's why it's really important in the morning to have a nice big glass of water before you do anything else. Start hydrating your brain again. I'm talking about filtered, osmotic reversed water, not out of a plastic bottle. And nutrients like magnesium, glycine, and antioxidants support the function of the mitochondria and reduce inflammatory stress. And move every day. Running water doesn't freeze. Even simple walking reduces inflammatory signaling. Movement tells your body, we are alive. We are adaptive. We are resilient. So bringing it all together, what do we have? The diseases people that I associate with fear most are heart disease, diabetes, dementia, and cancer. And they often do not begin when you get the diagnosis. They begin much earlier, a form of silent inflammation, a biological fire that can burn quietly for years. But if we recognize the signals early, we can change the trajectory. We can shift the body back toward balance and repair. Because the goal of medicine should not simply be treating the disease. The goal should be detecting imbalances before the disease begins. So all this screening for diseases that's already there. We want to get it before it becomes named. And how do you do that? That starts by recognition, a condition that I call the disease before the disease, silent inflammation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Ron. Remember, I do not filter the truth. I amplify it. And I am on Substack, Podbean, and most podcasts, most anywhere you can get a podcast. My podcast, Dr. Ron, unfiltered, uncensored, is there. So with that, have a great day. Thank you for listening, and sign up for the Substack. And hopefully we'll be able to share with you a conference that I will be doing with Professor Peskin on cellular aging in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned and have a great day.
Hey everybody, Dr. Ron's finished for today. I hope you got some good wisdom for what the man had to say. If it's all about good health, he's the man you got to see. He has a lot more answers for you. So tune in next week when the doctor is in the house. Or when the doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. When the doctor is in the house. The doctor is in the house. Doctor is in the house. Let the doctor know what's bothering you. I'm sure he can tell you just what to do. The doctor is in the house.